Hi, Art Seekers. We're here with Erin Yoshi in front of her fabulous wall downtown. So excited to get to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So, how did you become an artist initially? What was your journey?
My mother was an artist when I was younger, so I started drawing. We used to do comics in the living room where we would actually roll out a big butcher roll of paper, and we would each create a character and write a story about how our character had this adventure. And so, I guess I started drawing as a little kid and painting, and really decided probably about 17 or so years ago that I wanted to do it professionally.
Something I really admire about you is your versatility, that you work in all sorts of formats. And I'm wondering what to you is the difference between working on a wall and working on a canvas?
Actually, I prefer working large scale because for many years, I actually just painted murals. I didn't paint any canvases. So when I go smaller, to spend like 2 hours on this versus 2 hours on this, it makes a big difference. So I prefer large scale even on canvas, but I also like the time of being in the studio. I can do it at the odd hours. I can be in my sweats with no makeup and painting. That's my favorite.
Is the energy of the work itself different when it's really big and when it's painted outside where people can participate?
Absolutely. And one of my favorite things is it's very often where people will stop by and say, hey, I think you should add this, or could you put me in there? Or little suggestions I actually think it needs this. And a lot of times I take those suggestions because sometimes I feel it needs to be relevant for here, or maybe that was meant to happen, or, so a lot of times I really appreciate that. And I also with murals, you get your whole body into it. It's like aerobic almost. So it has a different feel for me. I feel like I can put more emotion into it when I can swing my body across.
What about the imagery itself? What are you inspired by? What are you trying to communicate?
For the last couple years, I've actually been living in South America. I was living in Ecuador, which is a really eco-diverse region of the world. So I lived in the Andes. I spent a lot of the times in the Amazon rainforest and also in the oceans where, pretty close to where the Galapagos are. So I spent a lot of time in nature, and I was always kind of an environmental justice buff, but it really transformed the lay of my work, where now I feel like I'm focusing a lot of my time on environmental preservation as well as preserving culture, because I feel as this modern day is moving forward and everything is trying to be faster and sleeker, a lot of cultural representation is getting lost or whitewashed out. And so I think, to me, those are the things that I really value, and so I try and highlight those in my work. So a lot of times I love to paint elder women. I have like elder women crushes, I have a collection of elder women mentors. So to me, I really love painting wrinkles and just that inner beauty that comes with being secure with yourself, versus I don't really paint young, beautiful women, because that's beautiful too, but for me, I love to highlight those sorts of ancestral feelings. I always think of murals as billboards for the people. They really are a way that you kind of can get a feel for what a community is talking about or what is going on there. And I grew up, pretty close down the street, right here in East LA. A lot of my family's from East LA. So I spent a lot of my childhood really close to the neighborhood and in J-Town as well growing up. So to me, I really like to bring that sort of energy to the work. I want it to be a landmark for the neighborhood, somewhere where people are excited to have it there, as well as kind of engage with it. So this one, on purpose, I was actually going to paint something in the middle here, but then as I looked at it, I was like, people could stand right there, and I kind of like that interaction. And so, yeah, I decided to leave it open. So I kind of did a last minute change at it.
I think that the participatory nature of street art is one of its most successful qualities, because you're right, people do want to stand in the middle of something and take a picture, and so the work is only complete in a certain sense when somebody activates it.
Right, absolutely. I think that's really an important thing, is that because it's in the public, you really want public buy-in, and you want it to be something that's relevant for people as they walk by, because it's such a large landmark in so many ways that it's so important when it's something that people really want to engage with.
Is there a work that you've done that's most personally significant to you?
One of the series that I think kind of launched my career in this way, I did a series through Colombia where I was sponsored by a human rights law firm that was taking up a court case with the government into the Inter-American Human Rights Courts about a genocide that happened from the 80s to the early 2000s. And I think in that project, I was tasked to do workshops with community members who had lost family members and also were a part of this violence that had happened. And through that experience, I not only learned how to use art as a healing tool, but also then really took accountability and responsibility for my content. It really pushed me to the next level. And I think that that's when I really decided, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go all in on this. And it really made me accountable to the imagery that I put forward.
And also giving some kind of social awareness to your work. And you're not just painting something that's aesthetic, and of course there's room for that too.
Absolutely.
But your work is an integral reflection and lens onto the community.
Absolutely. I think that that's what I really try and do is something that can tap into what people are going through or what people are feeling. I love to paint murals that inspire hope. I feel like that's so lost in today's world with everything being so crazy and everything going on in the environment. I think that there's so much sadness that I really try and inspire the hope. A lot of times I kind of tuck in heavy messages in something that looks really happy, and so I kind of like people to feel a little bit of both emotions. Like, that's so cute. Oh, it's really sad that, you know, that there's no more, that the fish population is becoming extinct, but those fish are really cute that you're painting, or something like that. So I kind of like to play with the juxtaposition of emotion and stories of relevance.